What's up, guys, and welcome back for another EVE Online video. And this is going to be another episode of Solo Alpha. I'm still actually kind of working on the standings for level 3 security missions. These are level 2s. I've started off actually doing level 2s, and I was only able to run like the Caracal. But some of these later ones that I've been doing, they've actually allowed me to use a combat battlecruiser, so I went and was able to get the Drake out and do some of these. The main goal for this character right now is to kind of just max standings and really get into level 3 securities, and eventually start doing some of the pretty much the exact high end stuff that you can do for ratting unrated, rated DED sites in high sec. But then eventually I want to take this alpha out and do proper ratting in null sec, because I think that would be kind of an interesting situation, is like doing proper null sec ratting with an alpha character and all of that. But really, it's kind of a routine for the most part. This character is just very slow. It takes a long time to get kind of standings where we want them to be. And story missions are... we're also kind of working on Caldari stuff. So we don't really get Caldari state, or like the actual faction for Caldari, unless we do story missions, which we get like every 16 missions that we do, we get like one story mission, which helps increase our faction. So that's really kind of what's been helping us get that kind of situated. I've been thinking about actually getting a prop mod for this guy, because there's been some missions where it's like go fly out here and go to this like warehouse or pick up this thing, and it's like, you know, a pretty long burn. But those are kind of few and far between for the most part. A lot of like what I like to do with this ship is just kind of like drop on grid and then just kind of target everything up and go to town with the 6 heavy launchers plus the drones. It's, you know, unless we're doing like, you know, really more difficult rats like dire, piss, and stuff like that, then it can be a little obnoxious. But normal, you know, cruiser down stuff is pretty easy. I think we'll probably very quickly get to the point where I'll want to upgrade and go ahead and purchase the Raven. I think definitely when we start getting into like nullsec ratting with this character, we'll be rocking a Raven once we kind of get more of those skills kind of fleshed out. But unfortunately, we're at the mercy of, like, you know, SP login rewards or alpha injectors and things like that. But that's why this character has been kind of on the back burner for the most part, because the progress is so slow. So I'm gonna continue kind of like covering this character and its kind of objectives as we go. I've been doing a lot with it for the past few days, but it's just been between, like, you know, balancing what I'm doing for mining, and then, you know, coming out here and doing security missions. I don't really mind security missions, but at like level 2 they can be kind of just obnoxious. We're not really going after ISK, but it's more like about efficiency. When you're sitting there, if you've ever done like security missions and you're doing it for standings, and every time you do one, you see how little the standings are affected, you know, per mission, and it's just like, it's a very big slog, and it's something that I'm trying to get through, because I'm also just trying to get that more grindy mentality for EVE Online, because one big thing that I want to get done, which I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to start on it, would be to actually get really high Poshbin standings, and not just like trig standings, but we want intercom as well. So that's going to be a very long road, and that's going to be going out and just like taking a tune and going out and just killing rogue drones in Poshbin. I think one of the big benefits of actually just running like an alpha tune is like there's no pressure from the monthly Omega. So it's like, obviously it's taken us many months to get this character kind of to this point, but also if we were doing this like on an alpha, we could be like, or on an Omega, in the back of my mind I'd be like, well, we've been working on this character for like 8 months, 8 times the subscription fee, and that's how much we're in. But I think that's kind of like why I think everybody should have at least an alpha tune that they just have, that they just do not put a subscription onto, because I think it can kind of, you know, bring you back to basics for the most part. It can really kind of bring back a little bit the enjoyment when you take like the money pressure off of a character, and if you're playing an alpha and you're able to actually still enjoy EVE Online. Obviously, like, CCP wants you to get into Omega. They want you to do all the things, right? Which obviously there are good things about being Omega, as far as like expanded industry and expanded ship availability and modules. But I think that even somebody who doesn't really care too much about meta or necessarily flying the biggest, baddest ship or min-maxing everything that they potentially do, I think being an alpha is still very rewarding. It's very time consuming. That's the thing. It's very, very time consuming, and it's like very much not instant gratification. A lot of planning, like that first 5 million skill points when you start that character, is meticulously planned out, because when you get to the end of when that passive training stops, you want to be in a position where you can accomplish something, right? And so you can actually afford to get those alpha injectors and start stacking on maybe the secondary or even the tertiary support skills for what you're already doing, and expand that way. Because once you hit that 5 million wall, it gets it's very slow going, but I still think it's totally worth it. Like the idea, when I first started this character, the idea of having an alpha character in a battleship like a Raven and just kind of doing whatever we can do was very appealing to me. And I'm happy that we're very we can fly the Raven right now, but we have several skills that we still need to get to kind of round it out. Where we go beyond that, I'm not sure. I think ultimately the very, very, very long-term goal for this character was to essentially have like all 20 million skill points that an alpha could have, and then doing experiments and stuff like that with this character. Essentially, a maxed out alpha character is something that I've been thinking a lot of lately, because I think that would be like a really good perspective experiment, where it's like, oh well, you enjoy doing X activity. Well, let's see what and how much we can do towards that with just alpha by having all of the skill points. And that's kind of like the underlying goal for this series, is like tracking this character's progress, its activities and stuff, while we kind of work up to the point where we literally have every skill point that's available to an alpha, and then doing what can we do with that at that point. So it might be a few more days, or maybe like next week, before we get another episode for Solo Alpha, because I think the next episode we're going to try to jump into the Raven, and by that point we'll use the Drake and the Caracal to get into level 3 securities. And I think once we actually kind of get our standings to where they're good to go, we'll go ahead and purchase that Raven and kind of get that stuff working. As you know, alphas can't run level 4s, so we're essentially for security missions maxed out at level 3, which is fine. We can do a lot of other things with this battlecruiser and the Raven, and I'm really curious to kind of experiment with that stuff. But thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.